I don't think we've had a global forum for ages where there hasn't been a Henriette McCool spot. And I think it's a testament to the hard work that Vonsi have been doing in this space. Not only do they do that thing that I talked about this morning about that it's all very well having a policy, but you actually need a procedure and a process, and that's a policy with its sleeves rolled up. Well, Vonsi, of all companies, have certainly always rolled their sleeves up, got stuck in, and always shared everything that they've done with everyone else in the space as well. It's a real testament to the company and the hard work, particularly of Henriette. Before we finish, we want to check in with two people who are closer to the experience of migrant workers than many of us. Bim Shresha leads Shamak Sanjal, a migrant worker organisation from Nepal, and he looks after Nepalese employed both in the Gulf and in Malaysia increasingly. And we met Samitha earlier today, and she's the director of a migrant worker support organisation in Malaysia called Our Journey, and also is a board member of Migrant Forum in Asia, who are the umbrella organisation of well over 50 migrant worker organisations. But they're both going to speak in turn and just give you some reflections to end on. So Bim, perhaps you'd like to start first.
Thank you very much, Neil. Oh. Hello. Oh, sorry. Hello. Okay. So thank you very much, Neil. Actually, I'm quite confused how to begin with, since I'm given this quite tough task, I would say, because I'm not very, familiar with doing like opening remarks or closing remarks, and this is very challenging because we are now going to some of this forum, and we had a lot of sessions, and there were a lot of information to kind of receive, digest, and dilute, and going through my thought process. And of course, I find it always challenging as a migrant worker, because we as a migrant worker often doesn't have this kind of opportunity to be with such a great audience and the leaders from different walk of life. But I kind of mustered a courage to accept this and say a few words and say a few things. Before I begin with, I just want to give a very little context behind how I joined this forum and where my journey start to be part of this process. So I'm a returning migrant worker, and I work in Qatar for 8 years as a migrant worker, and I returned back to Nepal in 2021. So my journey as a migrant worker was much more challenging than to be able to speak in this forum. And the very migration process has given me this opportunity and power to be able to speak and come and attend this kind of forum. So I take this as a challenge, but at the same time, opportunity to be with all those global leaders coming from different part of the world and different dimension of life. So I take a pride to say that what an ideal place to be. Workers, migrant worker, employer, recruitment agencies, academic professionals, journalists, government agencies, international organizations, and of course, the nice food is offered. Automated coffee machine to have caffeine and get our adrenaline going good. And freedom to use mobile phones, smartphone, and digital devices, and access to internet, and the freedom and the equality that we enjoy and share in this stage. is very phenomenal, and I enjoy it. I, as a migrant worker, never been able to experience this kind of freedom, this kind of equality, and this kind of support, connections, and the community and sense of belonging. Probably with my own community, but with the local community, it's never been part. And I always felt isolated, alienated from the community. I was always wishing to be part of the community, but I had never been. But this forum has allowed me to be at least with the community, the global community, I would say, and be part of. So thank you, ISRV and GFRR for this opportunity. So I envision and I imagine the world have this kind of similar forum and this kind of community who always consider migrant worker and the migrant worker community have the strongest voice, and they can be part of the process. But I also feel sometimes that when I go back home, attending from this kind of forum and reach to my home country or the country of destination as a migrant worker, and I'm being asked by many aspiring migrant worker that recruitment agency charges this much of recruitment fee. And in country of destination, many fellow migrant workers ask, or I can observe and see, going through severe form of forced labor, not having good accommodation, salary not being paid in time, and appalling living conditions, and restriction on freedom of speech, association, and many other form of exploitation. And I myself also again fell into doubt. What am I doing here? I met the employer, I met the recruitment agency, and probably the company, global companies that runs a multi-billionaire company and have millions or thousands of employee. And I also share my story here, but it's again make me realize that what am I doing here? Of course, I'm sharing my stories, but has my story been heard? Yes, it's heard, but I don't see that story being changed into good or improved the life of migrant worker. And I feel ashamed myself that I could do little no things, and I couldn't change the life of migrant worker. And this is where I want to make a change, but I still, again, I fail because the millions of migrant workers are going through difficulties and they are being charged very high recruitment fee. And then the exploitation doesn't end in recruitment, but also it continues to the country of destinations, and the exploitation in different form of forced labor. And it is very, very, sad and very, very pinching for me that I wouldn't be able to do so. Again, that I feel vulnerable, whether be it in country of origin or country of destinations, my position doesn't change. And I always feel vulnerable. And I always share my story of vulnerability. And my story of vulnerability has been a story, a bad story or sad story for the journalist, remittance for the state, income and revenue stream for recruitment agency and company, and of course, data for the researcher. And we are talking about the data and data-driven decision-making process. And the very data of vulnerability has not been able to change the life of migrant worker, millions of migrant worker, whether be it in Thailand, GCC, or Malaysia. It is same. So I wish the data or the vulnerability of migrant worker change, and then the data that we have, even in this room, because we have got people from different dimensions, and I can see people who innovated and running a mobile app like Golden Dream app. And there are many other apps who are supposed to change the life of migrant worker, but they are not been able to fulfill, and they are doing quite little age compared to the vulnerability and the problem that we are facing as a migrant worker. So I wish those kind of platform, digital platform or any form of platform, be able to really transform and translate the life of migrant worker and improve the migrant worker. So at this point, I want to borrow the statement that my colleague Ann Abunda has mentioned. We are the data. Yes, of course, our story and informations and the number of migrant workers we are working or spreading across the world is a very big source of data, and we are not, we are aware, definitely, that this means a lot. So I want to just give a little bit of additional thoughts on her statement. So we are the data. So see us, hear us, and feel us, so that the data will be live, and it might be able to change, and it might be able to give you change the decisions and make the decisions. So let's hear us, see us, and feel us, and be able to change the world. So this is really, really great platform, and I have been part of this forum since 2018 when I joined in Singapore, and then again in 2019 in Bangkok, and then I also attended a couple of other online sessions, and this is also in-person sessions, and I really enjoyed all the sessions and informations coming from the migrant worker, government agencies, international organizations, and from different colleagues, and also the employer that really they are trying to change the life of migrant worker, and it gives me a hope. And I would say that I'm not disappointed for sure, but I feel more hopeful, and I think it is a hopeful place, and the journey of hope begins here, and the journey of being more accountable, responsible, and be ethical to our business conduct, whoever we are, whether we are a migrant worker or civil society organizations, government, or employer. Let's be accountable, responsible, and ethical towards our work. And I want to thank everyone else for this beautiful opportunity. And I have made few connections, and I want to continue these connections in the futures. And we are always there to support for the data, so that we can make a data-driven decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think my reflection is was somewhat similar to what my friend mentioned just now. But having worked with this in this issue for a very, very long time, I think one of the things that is still missing in terms of migrant workers is the respect for migrant workers as a human being. We talk a lot about labor rights, we talk about human rights, but I feel that there is still lack of understanding understanding the migrant as a human being. I'm just going to give you an example of what I mean. This happened very recently. So we went to a company to do an interview of a worker, and this Nepali worker had his hair shaven. And so we asked him what was happening, and he says that, oh, my father passed away, so I had to do the ritual, So I asked him that, so why did you go back home for your father's funeral? And he says, no, the company didn't allow. And I said, why? Because he says that the HR was on leave. The HR was on leave, so they couldn't process for him to go back home. And mind you, he's the only son. So what does that tell you? This is not a small company. This is a big multinational company. So what does that actually tell you? They just saw the worker as a worker. Didn't think that he had a family, didn't think they had parents, or didn't respect the fact that he had obligations to his parents as well. Okay, so this is something I see constantly in the work that we do, not respecting the migrant as a human being. Just very, very recently, just before I came to Bangkok, there was a video that was in Malaysia showing workers playing cricket next to their hostel. It was an empty ground. And most of the comments in that video were very xenophobic. There was some saying that, oh, they're taking over our land. Taking over what land? It's an empty land. They're playing cricket. What taking over the land? But there were some responses that said that, look, the migrant workers are here to work, but then they also have a life. They also have a social life. They can also play games. They're not coming in your backyard to play. They're just playing in an empty ground. So we constantly have these issues with employers who do not see the worker as more than a worker. So what I would like to impart here is when you are interacting with your workers, or when you are, as brands, that you're interacting with your supply chain, go beyond the fact that you're asking about labor rights. I think you should also ask about, what do you do for, what kind of activities do you give for your workers on their off day? Are they allowed to go out? Or are they allowed to go back if there is some emergency? Things like that. Things that you would want for yourself is something that you should give for your workers as well. And this is something that we also see more in women workers, because women workers have more responsibilities. And we have seen where they worry a lot about their children that they left behind, because they leave behind the children with either some relative or with some their parents sometimes. And the sad part is the women don't go back for prolonged time because they need to earn for the family. But when they go back, sometimes the children don't recognize them, especially when they leave the child, when the child is very, very young. They don't recognize the mother. And it's very, very anguishing for the mother to go through that. So these are some of the aspects that we somehow don't look at. And I can tell you that when we work with women migrant, and we do some trainings with women migrant, we just don't talk about labor rights. We also have a space for them to talk about what's happening at their home, to share about their grievance, to share about their heartaches and things like that, so that they can open up, they can talk to someone. And we do a lot of support work in the sense that women supporting women. And this is one of the issues that we had, where there was a woman worker working in the plantation who was constantly being sexually harassed by the supervisor. And she was not able to report. She tried reporting, but nobody in the management was listening to her. So during the training, when she brought up this issue, her fellow migrants with her in the training made a pact that they will go and do something about this. And mind you, after the training, the day after the training, they went back on the first day to work. They confronted, together with all the workers, they confronted the sexual harasser and put a stop to that incident once and for all. So that became a kind of like a community building within that company itself, where the women were looking out for other women as well. So these are things that we need to do. It's not about the individual, but also community building within the workplace is important. And these are some of the things that you can do. Encouraging workers to speak among themselves, encouraging social events so that they can get to know one another. So it's not just about work. Yeah. And my final take is that collaboration. We heard a lot about the recruiters' role. And I must say that it is a very, very crucial role. And there's no point talking about eliminating the recruiter or keeping them out of the picture or things like that. They're here to stay, right? And they play a very, very important role. So the best way forward is to embrace the inclusion of recruiters and work towards, a better solution. We know there are many recruiters who want to do the right thing, but sometimes they don't have the right people to support or right collaboration. So I think that's where all of us can come into the picture and actually give that collaboration and give that support for recruiters to do the right thing. There's no point complaining that they're not doing it if we are not going to work with them. Yeah, so with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Samita and Bim, for those reflections. I now need to bring things to a close, and this, of course, entails a long list of thank yous. So please bear with me. Firstly, to our many partners, many of the organisations that we've partnered with, who have helped us to create such brilliant sessions and to recruit on our behalf some really inspirational speakers. Thank you to them. Thank you to the Crown Plaza Hotel, who've hosted us so graciously here in Bangkok. I think everyone's been raving about the food, but the setting and everything has been really great. Thank you to the Walmart Foundation for their generous support for the forum. It costs money to put these forum on, and it's getting harder and harder to find funders. So if anyone would like to have a conversation afterwards, then we're available. But thank you to the Walmart Foundation for supporting us. Thank you to all the session moderators who worked with us to ensure the liveliest and most informative discussions possible. And thank you to all the speakers, some of whom travel from abroad, especially to be here. And thank you also to all of those who are online. Insight Pact. So thank you to Insight Pact. So this is Wan and her team, and can we give them a round of applause? So, of course, they've not just been dealing with everything that's gone on in the room. They've been dealing with the online, all the action on the website and all the online participants as well. And they've enabled us to have a really seamless hybrid experience. Insight Pack does facilitation, training and event management. It looks easy when you watch it on the screen, but think about the reality of blending different speakers from all around the world with us here in Bangkok and then live stream it back out. We wouldn't have a moment's hesitation in recommending Insight Pack to anyone in this room. So thank you, Wan. Thank you to our good friends Thithi and Sudeep. Perhaps you'd just like to stand up. So Thithi is an IHRB research fellow, and Sudeep is a migrant worker who's come specially from Qatar to be with us today, and we couldn't have him here without getting him to do something. Thank you to all the IHRB staff, and in particular the communications team, who are very busy back home with doing all the background stuff on social media. And also to our colleague Rakesh Ranjan, who's a member of the migrant worker team, who unfortunately isn't here. He's back home in Delhi, but he's been an absolute integral part of everything. Rakesh is the guy who's been doing all of the admin work, organising the visas, booking the hotel rooms, all of those things as well. Rakesh, big part of everything. And come on, stand up, Carmen. Finally, as always, I have to thank my little sidekick, Carmen. Absolutely the one person without whom the Global Forum wouldn't happen at all. She works tirelessly on this event. liaising with Insight Pack to bring all the different elements together. And Carmen helps me. I'm the sort of person who eyes glaze over the minute we get anything past the Word document. And Carmen has helped us understand all the technical elements that need to be put in place and works seamlessly with Insight Packs, and also produced many of the graphics and things like that that you've seen today. You work so hard, Carmen, and I'm really proud to have you on my team. So this is the end of the forum, and perhaps before we go, we should also thank some other people. And this is the migrant workforce that enables us to live the lives we do. 1 in 20 workers in the world is a migrant worker. And Thailand is a country whose economy depends on migrant workers. But so are so many of other countries in the world. And there is very little that we eat, wear, or use that has not had the hand of a migrant worker somewhere in its production. In all these ways, our lives are not just touched, but intricately bound up by the lives of migrant workers. People that we don't really know and whose lives we can only imagine. But I want to end on one particular insight. IHRB has always been keen to better understand the lives and experiences of migrant workers. And as part of our increased focus on women migrant workers, Carmen last month visited a number of work camps in Mexico where she interviewed women migrants about their experiences. Reading the transcripts of the interviews, I was struck by one thing in particular, something so obvious and so apparent, but it seems at the moment so often lost amongst the stream of anti-migrant rhetoric that we hear constantly. All of these women were striving, working towards better futures, making something better and building new lives, not just for themselves, but for their families. And this was perfectly summed up in this one quote from a woman, Yesina, who's from Guatemala. It's hard to say goodbye to the children, but this is the only way we can guarantee them a good education. And that idea is more exciting than the pain of leaving them behind. Let's think about that. Think about the irony of that for a moment, shall we? How much must you love your kids to spend 3 years away from them? How hard must that be? And that very human part of life, and making the choices and difficult decisions based on a set of circumstances you are handed, how difficult. And how important it is for us all to understand and respect those choices, and for migrant workers, wherever they are employed, be treated with dignity and respect. And it's about migration with dignity, and as this forum has once more affirmed, that needs to begin with responsible recruitment. Thank you very much.
It's never good to stand up after Neil, but this year I have to, because both Neil and myself are not getting any younger. So it's been the joke of the past 2 days. So both Neil and I are moving on from IHRB this year. I do hope that the forum continues. I mean, we don't have to explain the value of it. I mean, it's pretty clear, I think. So if you are in a position to fund us going forward, we do want those conversations. I want Neil to be an advisor to the forum next year. You know, can you imagine the Global Forum without Neil Wilkins? No, I can't. So thank you. Thank you.